Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week, as he does most weeks, KC Onyebuchi.
What up, what up?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Just being amazing in the gym.
All right. Now, which gym is this? Is this the weightlifting gym, or is this the Factory X gym?
A little bit of both.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to get back into training. I've got a competition coming up for weightlifting. So doing double duty right now. Okay,
so you told us that you got hit with a tornado kick.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. So one of my favorite things about training at Factory X is you're going up against some of the best, and some dudes are really fighting their way up the ladder. So there's this guy, Eric Grant. He won his main event fight on a Saturday, and then by Thursday he had been back in the gym a couple of days, and we were sparring, and he was just getting loose. And what I discovered about the hurricane kick is it is really easy as the person defending it to just get sucked into just, wow, this is awesome. And you're waiting for that timing for him to turn around, but you just can't get it. So I got hit with it twice, not once, but twice. I got caught looking. I was like, oh man, this is just trash. There's nothing you can do about it. You just take that shot.
There it is. And so this is a throwback to last week's episode where we were talking about Raymond Daniels, who defeated Wilker Barros via a knockout punch, but he set it up with that spinning effect of the hurricane or tornado kick.
Yeah, there's this weird difference because on the sideline, you're just like, why didn't he just punch him while he was turning? But as a guy who's actually been in that octagon, it's, whoa, you're waiting for that timing. It's not like you're just sitting back. You're trying to time it so you can catch his head or something, and it's just out of nowhere. So I couldn't imagine if you're waiting for a kick and that punch lands. That's just surprise.
Surprise.
You wake up on the mat.
Surprise.
Message.
Well, this was the finale of War Weekends where Bellator and UFC went head-to-head on not one, not two, but 3 events in 3 weeks. This time we saw the next round of the Welterweight Grand Prix, which was the former welterweight champion Douglas Lima, who faced off against undefeated Micheal Venom Page. And Michael Chandler put his lightweight belt on the line against Patricio Pitbull, the featherweight champion at Bellator, moving up for a shot at being the double champion in Bellator. Meanwhile, the UFC went south to Brazil for a pay-per-view featuring a Hall of Famer, 2 Brazilian legends, and 1 legend in the making. You had BJ Penn, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, they were all in action, and Strawweight Champion Rose Namajunas faced Jessica Bate Estaca Andrade.
The pile driver.
That's right. That's what Bate Estaca means. So we'll see what happened in the official decision.
The official decision.
This is the official decision. This is where we look at the results of the fights this past weekend. There were 2 Bellator 221 Chandler versus Pitbull, Saturday, May 11th at the All-State Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. There were 5 fights on the card. Tywin Claxton defeated James Bennett via TKO in round 3. Jake Hager defeated TJ Jones via submission in round 1. There were a lot of people complaining because they felt like Jake Hager held on to his triangle choke a little bit too long.
That's life.
AJ McKee defeated Pat Curry via unanimous decision. In the Welterweight Grand Prix, Douglas Lima defeated Micheal Venom Page via a devastating knockout in round 2, handing Micheal Venom Page his first loss and elimination from the tournament. Now, I got to tell you, like, we all were on the Micheal Venom Page hype train, and I think
he seemed undefeatable.
Well, yeah, until he got defeated. You know, the thing is that he is a special fighter, and I think that this loss to Douglas Lima is really a credit to Douglas Lima's skill and it doesn't take really anything away from Michael Venom Page. I saw a lot of comments online saying that that Michael Venom Page was overrated, that he got exposed. No. Douglas Lima is just legit.
I think the way that Lima won that fight kind of in no way can take away from what MVP did. Like it's a move that I love, is taking that leg kick when you've got a guy who just stays heavy on his front leg and he's moving forward that way. That leg kick just takes him out, and he's on his butt trying to scramble to his feet, and it was just the quickness of Lima and just the pinpoint accuracy to catch him to catch MVP right on the chin. I don't know that that's something that MVP could have defended any differently. That's just one, you're down, you're getting up, and you got caught.
Yeah,
there's that can take nothing away from your skill set. It's just amazing offense by Lima.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where Michael Venom Page was just coming off of a strike that appeared to have rocked Douglas Lima, and so this is where he was going in for a kill. And the way that he stands in this very karate, hands down, bouncing, and kind of his horse stance kind of position. Yep. And as he was leaping forward with a punch, all his weight is on that front leg, and Lima just leg kicks it right out from under him. He goes down, scrambles back to his feet, and you're trying to get back up. You have both your hands on the ground trying to get yourself up, and that left his head right open for just a brutal uppercut, and the fight was over.
You done, son.
You done.
Beautiful.
Famous guy once said,
"Boom, rocked him."
Heyo.
And in the main event of the evening, Patricio Pitbull defeated Micheal Chandler via knockout in round 1. Patricio Pitbull was coming up from featherweight, 145 pounds, to fight at 155. And this was funny to me because Micheal Chandler had just been trolling Rory McDonald a week ago, talking about how he also talks to God, and God has no problem with Micheal Chandler beating people's tail. And so then the very next week, he catches a punch to the behind the ear. He goes out and he loses his title. So apparently, apparently God likes to see other people whip some tail too, not just Micheal Chandler.
Look, as the resident good guy on this show, I'm just going to say I'm not a part of this, and I'm going to let you deal with the
eternal consequences of musing that God is an MMA fan.
Well, if he was, he would definitely not be a John Jones fan.
Maybe not. But John still, Philippians 4:13, he does all things through Christ what is it? What's the
Nailed
line?
It.
I can do all things through.
Someone was in Awanas as a kid.
I was not.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens.
It's Christ. Okay, so I know the verse. I just didn't know if it was God or Christ. I was 50-50 on that.
It's all right, because context would show that that's like the worst verse that you could ever put on yourself, because it's usually about taking a beating and going through trials. But yeah, you got it.
All right. Very nice. Well, anyway, talking about someone who took a beating, Micheal Chandler, it wasn't long. It was a one-hitter quitter, but he is now no longer the lightweight champion of Bellator. So hats off to Patricio Pitbull.
It was the Rocky finish, wasn't it? It's like you both throw a punch and one man goes down.
Yeah. I mean, it was that's what it was. I mean, effectively, it was the Conor McGregor Jose Aldo. One punch.
Yeah. That's fair, yeah.
So when it's a one-hitter quitter like that, that is a Buffer factor fail. Even though it's not Bruce Buffer announcing in Bellator, it's still a fight needs to last at least as long as it takes to announce it. Trust me, this fight didn't last that long.
Not nearly.
All right, the other fight on the weekend was the UFC 237. It was a pay-per-view. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. It was also Saturday, May 11th. At the Junissi Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. There were, I think, 5 fights on the card for that one, too. And,
Yep.
But I want to talk about this Clay Guida fight. So Clay Guida, who is a a UFC journeyman. I mean, this guy has been in the UFC since I started watching again back in 2006. Like, he's been there like 13, 15 years. He defeated BJ Penn, Hall of Famer, via unanimous decision, 29-28 and 2 29-27s. Like, I don't know what went down in that fight. I mean, it was an undercard fight. I didn't get to catch it. But
yeah,
what I thought was interesting is that they were talking about how this is the longest winless streak in UFC history. That BJ Penn hasn't won a fight in the past decade. And he's still fighting in the UFC.
That can't be right.
Go look at it. Look it up.
Oh my goodness. Since it actually, no matter how you do the math on that, it's been a long time. It's not like, since it turned into the 2000 teens, but yeah, that's trash.
Yeah, I mean, it's BJ Penn's last win was on November 20th, 2010.
My goodness, that is trash. The thing is, like, he's been around for so long. I remember I was in college and the Family Video was closing and they were selling all of their DVDs for like $1. And I got the original UFC fight highlights. And so I've got like 2 DVDs with old school BJ Penn on it. He is for sure a legend in the sport. But at a certain point, I think the best move for these guys is to just sunset your career. It's like you're only tarnishing your legacy. Like you can't be a UFC all-star with the longest winless streak ever. That's the two just don't fit.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty bad because starting in 2011, February 27, 2011, he had a draw against John Fitch. And then he hasn't won since. He's got a 7-fight losing streak. I mean, the only guy that's got a worse losing streak than BJ Penn is Bob Sapp. I mean, let's put that into perspective here. Bob Sapp, the guy who actually throws fights, you hit him in the face one time and then he goes down and taps out, is the only guy that's got a longer losing streak than BJ Penn.
I think they have to keep BJ on the roster just because of what he's meant to the sport.
Yeah.
But the kindest thing that they could do at this point is give him an easy fight, some new guy, very first time in the UFC. Take that win and go home.
You know, but I feel like that's what they were doing, right? Not Clay Guida, but
slouch.
The guy before Clay Guida was Ryan Hall. And Ryan Hall has 8 fights on his belt. Like, they gave BJ Penn a guy with 8 fights, and the guy beat him in 2 minutes and 46 seconds in the first round.
It's sad when even your soup cans are beating you.
Yeah,
it's done.
I mean, let's think about this. They're like, okay, what can we do to get BJ back in the win column so he can retire officially with a win? Okay, let's give him somebody with 8 fights. Nope, that fight only lasted 1 round. All right, let's get him somebody old, someone that has been in the fight game forever. Clay Guida loses by decision. Like, oh man, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, I think it's time for BJ to just go back to coaching in Hawaii. He's got an awesome facility in Honolulu. Just do that, man. Just be a legend.
Yeah, I
he's
think
not the only one on that card who should take that advice.
Yeah, let's go through the rest of it. Laureano Strapoli defeated Thiago Alves via unanimous decision. I got this one right. Alexander Volkanovski defeated Jose Aldo via unanimous decision. Jose Aldo commented and said that's the worst he ever fought in his life. I think he said that before whenever he fought Max Holloway. I think one more fight like this for Jose Aldo, and we'll be considering him another one of those BJ Penn kind of, it's time for you to go.
I don't know if he can take one more loss because he strings in some wins in between these losses. So.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely not as bad as BJ Penn, but where are you going to go from here? Now, so that's the question I have for Jose Aldo, because now that you've gotten beaten by Alex Volkanovski, who's kind of that up-and-coming fighter, you really there's starting to put some gap between you and the title shot, because you still got someone like Brian Ortega who's up there. You've already lost twice to Max Holloway, so you really can't fight him again, even if you make that fight all the way up there.
It's tough because even with Ortega sitting in his way, it doesn't seem like that Aldo has the skill set to take on some of these younger, more active guys.
I think this is the sunset of a career. I won't say that Jose Aldo is done, but it's just it. I think if he fights one more young up and comer and he can't put that guy away, I don't know where else he can go, to be honest.
Agreed.
Jared Cannonier defeated Anderson Silva via leg kick destruction in round 1.
Not the first time that's happened.
It's not, but this time, instead of Anderson Silva failing to sustain his own kick, this time he got kicked in the leg, and, Jared Cannonier just put it out there. And you just saw Anderson Silva just crumple. As soon as he landed that leg kick, it was just like, someone call the doctor because I am in pain.
I don't know if for Silva, was it truly physical or the mental as well of, holy moly, like, is this my leg again? I think he fights with a lot more hesitation than he once did. Though it was heroic and courageous how he came back after the just the shattered leg. He's definitely not the same fighter. He was already downhill when that leg kick happened, but now anytime he takes a serious shot, you wonder, is he okay? And that's not what you want out of a fight, where you're legitimately concerned for the health of a fighter the whole time.
The thing is that the broken leg was like right above his like his shin, like right above his ankle, whereas this was a kick to the knee.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the same leg.
I think it was a different one. Yeah, it was his other leg.
Yeah, it was his left leg that he broke on Chris Weidman. It was his right leg that Jared Cannonier kicked. So I don't know. But interestingly enough, they said Silva's MRI scan revealed that no torn ligaments or broken bones. So that just means it was just a devastating kick. It was very painful because it didn't break anything and it didn't tear anything, but Silva sure thought it did.
Elizabeth, it's the big one.
It's the big one. I'm coming up to see you. And in the main event of the evening, Jessica Andrade defeated Rose Namajunas via knockout in round 2 due to pile driver on the head.
I love this part of the MMA story where you can just be getting absolutely worked with seemingly no shot at winning this and then just pull it out of nowhere. Just your signature move. It couldn't have gone any better for Andrade.
Yeah, it looked really bad because, Rose Namajunas' first punch cut Jessica Andrade, and we just were like, oh my gosh, this fight's not gonna last very long. And you're already bleeding on the first punch, and then Rose Namajunas was all over the place. It wasn't really like she was moving. It was more like she was teleporting from different places. Like, the only time I've seen that kind of movement was when you fight the Great Tiger on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You know, when he starts disappearing and flying around the ring, and then all of a sudden, there's a punch in your face?
Surprise!
Surprise! That was exactly what we were seeing from Rose Namajunas. She was landing heavy jabs and just these straight punches. She was moving out of the way, throwing these hooks. She was looking great. And when we were talking about her last week and we picked her, that was what we saw. Is that as long as she didn't get
Andrade last week,
huh?
I picked Andrade last week.
No, you didn't.
No, I changed. I may have changed.
No,
elsewhere.
I did not receive a text message from you. No notification. You have been on the Rose Namajunas hype train before anybody.
Check the audio before when this goes in the post. Check the audio. I 100% picked Andrade. I said that Thug Rose has been a little too hesitant, and I think that she wouldn't be able to, mentally, I want her to win, but I felt like Andrade got it.
I do
either
not
that or
believe
in our
it.
tech thread. It's someplace. I guarantee I picked this. Come on.
Okay, look, this. See, you know what you're doing right now. Like
Hedging bets.
you're putting the Nostradamus on the line right now.
Ooh, I am. And while we're talking, I'm checking the text thread just to be sure, because I feel like post show I send like, hold on, I was way off in the show. Let me get this right. So let's see if I did that this week.
Yeah.
Nope. Stuck with it. We're good. I'm Andrade all day. You're doing the research too, aren't you?
Like I'm listening to the show right now from last week.
Oh my goodness. Let's hear it for Team Andrade. I feel like we should put some consequences on this bet. Like, if I'm correct, again, you've got to lose 30 pounds in a month, and I've got to gain 10 pounds in a month.
Okay, all right. Here, the verdict is in. What you said, and too bad I can't. I can't. What you said was, you felt like the incessant pressure of Jessica Andrade was going to be too much. So yes, indeed, you did pick Jessica Andrade. The Nostradamus continues to sniff out victory.
Got him.
I can't believe it. You picked against your girl.
Exactly. This is the difference between the Nostradamus picks and the Ryan T. Smith picks.
Yeah, I picked the people I like. I don't care. I don't care what the stats say. Forget the stats. I pick.
You're like, he's 1,001 underdog. But let me tell you about his backstory. This is why he's gonna win.
I'm the BJ Penn of fight picks. I used to be great, but now I'm just terrible. I used to be a prodigy, but now I just smack my
Crazy Joe. Now they call me Batman.
Oh man,
Good times.
Yeah, there it is.
Always right.
You proved yourself. You proved yourself well. There you go.
I got so nervous as you played that tape back. I was like, ooh, did I?
Yeah, you called it. So go back and check episode 93 and hear it for yourself. KC, the Nostradamus of MMA, picked Jessica Andrade.
Smelling victories.
All right, that's it. Let's close the book on this one and put it back on the shelf because these cards are history. Now, let's go into the segment of the show where we do the headlines and talk about the things that are making waves in the wake of these events. That is Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
This is Finding the Angles. This is where we talk about the headlines. First one that I want to talk about is Neil Magny is the latest to get popped by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, also known as USADA.
This is crazy. Basically, the UFC is a public restroom in the airport. Just dirty.
Man, it's crazy. So he's forced out of his fight this weekend it was a co-main event against Vicente Luque. Basically, he revealed that he had a positive USADA drug test, which was what led to his withdrawal. He wrote on social media that he was informed on May 11th that he had tested positive for an anabolic agent. In May 5th, out-of-competition drug test, which was administered by USADA. He's claiming innocence. He's saying that he's trying to get through the investigation to see where he may have come in contact with this substance. Do you think Neil Magny is dirty?
It's hard to believe that Neil is dirty, as he went on to explain on his post that he's been a big fan of the strict enforcement of the USADA rules, and he's part of an additional testing pool to use as like a baseline for fighters. So it strikes me as odd that a fighter like Neil Magny, with his background and just how he carries himself, I mean, it could all be for the cameras and for show, but he seems like a genuinely good person who is about that clean life.
Yeah, I hope that it comes out that Neil Magny had a tainted supplement or something like that. But it just seems to me like at some point the UFC needs to do something to make sure that fighters aren't coming into come into contact with this, because we keep seeing, we just had like 4 or 5 fighters that were suspended because they had a tainted supplement.
Yeah,
like
it seems to me the easy choice is to do kind of like you have your firewall rules, where instead of just trying to blacklist substances, you just whitelist substances.
Yep.
And say, look, these are what you should take if you want to be in the UFC. Anything beyond that, we can't guarantee that you're not going to get popped.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a revenue stream. I mean, you basically have a captive audience at that point.
Yep.
That is what we would call a vertical line on the economics chart.
Dana White, come at me.
Perfect elasticity, right?
Teach you marketing 101.
There it is. Hey, some big fights have been picked. I mean, have been signed. So we got Nick Diaz versus Anthony Pettis. What?
And it's personal for Anthony Pettis.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that?
He says. No, not even a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Surprise!
Well, I was reading that that one of the trainers for Nick Diaz has a history with Anthony Pettis, and they intend on trying to use that to try to distract him in this fight. So it may play in my realm of the kind of the trash talking. As we start getting into the psychological warfare before the physical warfare.
Dirty. This is interesting.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the promotion plays out between these two fighters at press conferences and things like that. So, be on the lookout for some pretty shady tactics on the mic from Nick Diaz and his camp. Tony Ferguson is getting back. El Cucuy is finally back in the octagon versus the super dad, Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Still hard for me to like that guy. I've vacillated so much on Cerrone. I think when you and I saw him back years ago at UFC when they were in Dallas at the AAC, I was like such a huge fan, and then so much has happened in between. But the dude just can't stop winning right now, and it's hard not to like a winner.
Yeah, I mean, he's undefeated since he had his baby, and his last fight against Al Iaquinta was probably one of the most dominant fights we've seen in a long time. I mean, I really enjoyed the picture that we posted for the cover of our episode 93. It was basically Cowboy Cerrone putting his foot in Al Iaquinta's face. It's like, here, taste this toe jam.
What do you think about this fight? Is this going to be one of the more exciting things that's ever happened? Or
I'm excited about this fight just because El Cucuy is back. I mean, he was fighting Anthony Pettis. That was such a bizarre fight in and of itself. Donald Cowboy Cerrone is on his way up. He needs this win to justify a fight versus Khabib. I think Tony needs this fight to justify the same fight against Khabib because he hasn't won a fight since he won the Pettis fight, but like I said, it was a bizarre fight anyway. So he needs one more win to get back into the title contention there. So I like this fight for what it does for the two of them, because both of them have a claim for a title shot in the wake of the Khabib Nurmagomedov Dustin Poirier fight that's coming up.
I support it.
And then we've got Frankie, the answer, Edgar, finally getting his title shot versus Max Holloway. This was the fight that Frankie Edgar was supposed to have, but he had to have a late fight replacement with Brian Ortega, and Brian Ortega dropped him like a sack of potatoes, and then Ortega got his title shot. So now, finally, Frankie Edgar got his title shot versus Max Holloway. I'm excited for Frankie, but I think this is probably it. If he wins it, then his career should go on. If he doesn't, I don't know where he goes from here, because what are you going to do now?
You can pull the Uriah Faber and just be the forever gatekeeper.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know if, at 145, if he's going to be able to contend with the talent. I mean, these guys just seem to get bigger and bigger. And then I don't think he goes up to 155, which is where he used to fight, was at 155. And I think now that you've got Tony Ferguson there, you've got Donald Cerrone there, you've got Conor, you got Dustin Poirier, and there's a lot of big guys at 155 now. I'm thinking that if Frankie doesn't get it done this time, I think it may be end of the road for him too.
He's got a shot though, because I think honestly Max Holloway is probably the better of the two fighters. But if Dana White picks Max Holloway's walkout music and it's Thunderstruck, maybe Frankie has a shot.
Oh my gosh, talk about bad luck right there.
Call back.
Yeah, and yeah. You don't want to get dropped on your head when your walkout music was Thunderstruck.
Yeah, good times. This is why you should just never trust Dana White.
And then finally, our last story, Jon Jones was actually very complimentary of Daniel Cormier in an MMA fighting interview that he had, or at least MMA Fighting was reporting it. He said that his greatest chance of losing would be to a guy like Daniel Cormier at heavyweight. So basically, that's the fight that people are interested in. Daniel Cormier having said that if he beats Stipe Miocic and has a fight left in him, he'd like to fight Jon Jones one more time at 205. So in this interview, Jon was saying that he didn't think that that Daniel Cormier was going to be able to make 205, that it was a tough weight cut for Daniel Cormier. For Jon Jones, it's a piece of cake.
Literally. It's a piece of Popeye's chicken.
Tiramisu. But you know what he said is that he says he's a realist. Daniel Cormier is a special athlete and everyone can be beaten. I think my greatest chance of losing would be to a guy like Daniel Cormier, with him giving him a power and strength advantage over me. It just doesn't make sense. Right now I make light heavyweight very easily, and it wouldn't make sense to fight a guy who I think technically is on your level and give him a size advantage. I'm not doing it. I'm sure my fans don't like to hear me talk like that, but it's just me being a realist and being respectful to Daniel's abilities. So, I mean, I like the way Jon Jones is talking here, but both you and I have been around this sport and have been around Jon Jones and what he says long enough to know that doesn't mean anything. But that's the way that he should be talking.
I almost wonder if it's gamesmanship to ensure that this fight happens, though.
Yeah, but do you think it's gamesmanship to get this fight to happen at 205, or do you think this is gamesmanship to get this fight to happen at heavyweight?
The weird part is I think there's a lot of truth in his statement that Daniel's probably the favorite at heavyweight, given that he's proven himself and he looks really comfortable at that weight. He doesn't have to worry about the weight cut and can focus just on the fight. So that's a huge advantage to DC. But realistically, when you're Jon Jones lives rent-free in Daniel Cormier's head.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that mental aspect can't be overlooked when it comes to who's going to win at heavyweight. So it's hard to say if Jon really wants DC at heavyweight, because I think he can still beat DC, but realistically, anyone can be beaten. So who knows? I hope that it actually happens, and I think that he's saying the right things to move talks along and actually make it happen. Instead of, I think if he goes the abrasive trash talking route, then DC gets to take the high road and be like, look, this is beneath me. I'm over this.
Yeah. I think that if he does talk trash, then I think we kind of as the fans are a bit tired of it. I mean, we've seen it twice. I think that showing respect to Daniel Cormier is actually a refreshing change. And so what ends up happening is, depending on what happens after the Stipe Miocic fight, if Daniel Cormier emerges victorious, then it's the money fight that we all want to see one last, time. Like I said before, you do it at 205, then you can put both belts on the line. And Daniel Cormier either walks out the double champ or he walks out defeated. I like the brinksmanship that puts on this fight, that it means everything now. Everything is on the line.
Yeah, this is a beautiful matchup.
So there it is. That is the headlines. That's Finding the Angles. We're going into the fights that are coming on this weekend with the fight card. This is the fight card. This is where we look ahead at the fights that are coming up. Finally, we've got just one card, one promotion that's headlining this week, and that is the UFC on ESPN Plus 10. That's Dos Anjos versus Lee, Saturday, May 18th, 2019 at the Blue Cross Arena in Rochester, New York. There are 6 fights on the card. Austin Hubbard versus Davi Ramos. You've got Nick Lentz back in action versus Charles Oliveira. That's a good fight. Ian Heinisch versus Antonio Carlos Jr.
The X on his chest. I wasn't going to let that slip by.
He has a tattoo?
Oh, come on. No, I think he has no tattoos.
Then how does he get an X on his chest?
Factory X. You know.
They brand X's on you guys? I mean, it's not a tattoo.
I hate you so much. Why are you the worst?
Sijara Eubanks versus Aspen Ladd. That's actually going to be a good fight. Vicente Luque was supposed to fight Neil Magny, but since he's out because of the USADA pop, Derek Krantz, a Texas guy, is stepping in from LFA on short notice.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, that reminds me. Wasn't there a Bellator guy who's just like a meat packing dude who got to fight a wrestler at Bellator recently?
Yes, the meat packing dude. That was the fight that we were talking about before. That was Jake Hager versus TJ Jones. So TJ Jones was like this guy who was filling in, and he got submitted in round 1, and that was the fight that that Hager held on to the choke a little bit too long.
Yeah. These things happen.
Yeah, he's like, you don't belong here, son. But Derek Krantz is stepping in a late fight replacement to I mean, it's pretty late, like 5 days notice. But we'll see what happens.
If he makes weight?
If he makes weight, he won't win. But if he doesn't make weight, he's got a shot.
He's got a shot.
The main event of the evening, Rafael Dos Anjos versus Kevin, the Motown Phenom Lee. Let's make a flash fight pick here. Who you got, Nostradamus?
Ooh. Kevin Lee. I wish I had a great reason for it, but Kevin Lee.
Okay, I have Kevin Lee as well. Not because you sniffed this one out, but because Rafael Dos Anjos just doesn't seem to be able to compete at welterweight. I mean,
ooh, yeah,
he beat Neil Magny, right? And then he got pounded by Colby Covington. Then he got beat again. I mean, like, Rafael Dos Anjos is struggling. And
he's struggling, but I don't think he's too far outside the picture. I just think Kevin Lee's fighting with a hunger right now, and that's why I can't count him out.
Yeah, for me, it's Kevin Lee. Rafael Dos Anjos is a pressure guy, so he's going to pressure you, and what ends up happening is you got someone like Kevin Lee who that's his game. He's a wrestler, so what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to bully him around.
Yeah. This is Kevin Lee's got this one in hand, and I'm excited to be right again.
Yeah, so looking at Rafael Dos Anjos' record, he went up to 170 and fought Neil Magny, won that via submission in the first round. Then he fought Robbie Lawler and won that by decision. I forgot about that fight. And then that's when he faced off against Colby Covington. That was an interim title. And then he faced off against Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman has yet to be beaten, so we know how that worked out. I think that Motown Phenom is going to tack on another. It's going to be a third loss for Rafael Dos Anjos at welterweight. I think he might want to go back down to lightweight.
We'll see.
All right, that is it for our show. Follow us on social media. I am at CST Ryan on Twitter and at Combat Sports Talk on Instagram.
And I am at Push Pull Pray on Instagram.
Is that the one where you do your weightlifting?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, okay. Which was the one that you do? Which is the one that you do your singing?
That's usually obfuscated.
Okay, so you guys may not know this, but KC is an actual musician.
I like to think that I am the strongest cellist that you will ever meet.
Yes, it's amazing that with his hands he can play an instrument and punch you in the face.
Ladies, get you a guy who can do both. Well, wait, no. That sounded Greg Hardy-ish. Not like that. Not like that.
That is comedy right there. That is hilarious. Oh,
wait, hold on. Can we just delete the last 30 seconds?
No, that is...
It came out all wrong.
You know, here in Dallas, we've got 106.1, used to be the legendary Kid Craddock before he passed away. They had this thing where it was save that. And he would say, save that, whenever someone would say something like you just said. We are saving that for posterity there. Posterity, there you go.
I have my moments. What can I say?
Yeah, that was funny. All right. Our website is www.combatsportstalk.com. You can find us on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're one of those Apple podcasts, give us a recommendation. Tell us what you like about the show. We've got merchandise. I need to design a new shirt. I mean, I am currently rocking the Combat Sports Talk shirt, but I need to design a new one.
Agreed.
And we've got live events, even though I haven't done a live event with George Stallworth in 3 months.
Do bet. Oh, wow. Really?
It's just been life, man. Like, I was supposed to be there this Saturday, but I was in New Orleans, so can't do it if we're not together.
In Nolans.
All right. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right, then let's get out of here. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com, and KC Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For KC Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. Now, normally I wait until the next week to fix any errors that we had with the show. But this one, I could not wait because I was just going to go back and show that, yes, indeed, KC picked Jessica Andrade to beat Rose Thug No Hair Namajunas. But as I'm listening to the recording, I found out that not only did KC pick Jessica Andrade, but so did John Keys. And so did I. So we were 3 for 3 on that one. We got that one right. So I wanted to share that audio with you. Here it is, the proof that the Combat Sports Talk team called the main event of UFC 237, Rose Thug Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. And in the main event of the evening, champion Rose Thug No Hair Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. KC, I know who you like. Who you got?
I'm going with Andrade here.
What?
I know you think I was going to go with Rose here, but just realistically, the pressure that Andrade brings it's intense. She's fighting with a lot more power than I think JJ was fighting with, and kind of I don't know. As much as Rose is able to withstand a barrage and keep her composure, I just feel like the incessant pressure of Jessica is going to be too much.
John.
First fight back in over, a year and a half now? That's scary. I'm generally, with this type of fight, I have to see them at the weigh-ins to see where their mind is at. Just off the paper, I'm going to have to say Jessica Andrade. I think she's got a chance here because, Rose has got a little bit of rust on her. A lot of it, actually. So I don't know if she's ready to take a punch to the face yet. But I said, I'll wait till the weigh-ins to ultimately get my prediction.
So this one is tough for me because when I look at Jessica Andrade, she has she's lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is it that Joanna Jędrzejczyk brings that Rose doesn't bring? I mean, when you put Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Rose Namajunas, that second fight was pretty close. Could have gone either way. So I think that the style that Joanna Jędrzejczyk brings, when you have someone like Rose Namajunas, she should be able to execute the exact same strategy that Joanna did, and should be able to walk away with the victory. So, as much as I would like to go with Rose Thug No Hair Namajunas, I gotta go with Jessica Andrade as well.